Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here for another 10-second podcast. We got a great one to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about music rounds. Where's my head at when I put them together? And what's the feedback from some of you guys that I've been receiving? We'll have more of that coming up right after this. Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef back here for another 10-second podcast. You know, the feedback has been coming back from you guys about this show. A lot of you guys are listening, which is amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You know what? In fact, I owe it to you guys. You're the best. You're the best. That's all there is to say about that. You guys are absolutely the best. I appreciate the great feedback coming back from you guys. You're enjoying the show. You're having a good time. The one thing I do want to throw out there, though, nobody so far has taken advantage of the secret code word. Nobody. Last week's code word was wombat poop, and nobody's taken advantage of that at all. So I'm going to keep it going. Eventually, something's going to click, and somebody will remember. But that is a good opportunity for you guys to go ahead and get your bonus phrase. So that's coming up in the second half of the show. But an amazing week that we have had so far this week, and the remainder of last week was really great, to be perfectly honest. Let's talk. There was some highlights out there. Last week, I was, for the music round, I had done like 2 weeks of just straight up general knowledge, just as like a refresher to reset everything. And it was awesome. I really, really like doing a full general knowledge game. I feel like it really like levels the playing field, but I'm for sure 100%. I am 100% I guess you could say a entertainment value kind of guy. I want to make sure that you guys are thoroughly entertained. So the music round provides a lot of that. So last week I decided what I would do is I'd get some mileage out of some of the best rounds that I had put together. And I had a blast with it. And what was fun about it, I thought, was that every single day I was featuring a different music round. And that's a lot of work to just do that constantly all the time. That's generating so much stuff. And I feel like we're going to end up crossing lines. So sticking to one a week is the way to do it. But I think I might do some of these greatest hits a little bit more regularly. Maybe I'll add a second one a year and do one every 6 months or something, just to kind of mix it up. Because this week, or I should say last week, we went through some great categories. We started out kind of light on Monday, and this was during that fateful Boston Celtics game. It was absolute chaos over at Rumble Seat. But this week it was a different story over there. We'll talk about that in a moment. We're at Rumble Seat. We did TV theme songs, and that's a favorite because, like, everybody, you hear it from people all the time. Oh, I don't watch TV. But the thing is at one point or another, these theme songs work their way into pop culture where you just know exactly what they are. So we had a good time with that, and they span a wide range. Like, some of the shows went as far back. I know in the playlist they go back as far as the 60s. I don't know if we got into any of them that far back, but they definitely, we had Game of Thrones in there. So there was a big wide range of TV theme songs. And then on Tuesday over at Craft 32, I was feeling a little bit saucy, and I kind of wanted to do a little bit of classic rock, and we did one of my absolutely favorite playlist ever. In fact, I have 2 or 3 versions of this. We might need to come up with a new one. It's songs your dad did coke to, and it's one of my favorites. God, it's so much fun. It's chock full of jokes, and it just, like, the songs set themselves up for jokes. I love it. It's great. Everybody gets a good lighthearted kick out of it. The next one, and this is another one of my favorites too, and as an event DJ for 30 years, God, this just is accurate. I hate to say it, but it's truly accurate. And it's a diverse round. It's songs that white folks get turned to. Now, this is ultimately one of my absolute favorites, and this is one of those lists where I had discovered this playlist on Spotify and was just like, yeah, accurate. This is true. Yeah, I play this at, an anniversary party or something like that, and people are going to lose their mind. It's just the way that it is. And it's painfully accurate. So I played that. That was a lot of fun. And of course, again, like it lends itself to just entertainment value. And that's why I love these rounds. And then I was kind of struggling with Thursday's game. I really was. I wasn't 100% sure of what I wanted to do. I bumped into some of my good friends over at Fernway Thursday night when I was setting up, and I was going over to the bar to get the itinerary for if there was anything going on that I needed to mention or anything. And I was talking with my friends from Fernway, and they had asked me, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing for Music Round? Maybe we'll stick around." And I said, I'm on the fence. I have a handful of things in my back pocket. Make some suggestions, and I'll try to work toward that. And they were like, 90s hip hop is always the move. Well, we have another big 90s hip hop week coming later this summer. So I kind of want to put like that specific, like a decade of hip hop in its own container. But it got me thinking. I was like, we haven't done like any like heavily hip hop flavored music rounds in a while. But again, wanting to like throw something unique out there, I went with that classic playlist that came together after a wedding for a couple of trivia players. This was pre-pandemic. They had supplied me a list of acoustic pop remakes of hip hop hits. And this playlist is it's fucking solid gold. There's no other way to put it. It's so freaking fun. And this is different because it's not named that tune. It's named the original artist. So there's an acoustic version of, Nicki Minaj's Super Bass playing, and the answer would be Nicki Minaj. And it was great. It was a whole lot of fun. People have a really good time with that. It's a different spin on some of the music stuff that you might traditionally, and I love doing covers. I love it. Going with cover songs, it's always interesting. So that was that one. We had a great time with it. This week, this week, this is the first one of a fan favorite. I'm going to talk more about music rounds in a bit, but this week we're working on boy bands, and I'll go over some of the specific details because there was a little bit of a change here. We're going boy bands, and for the most part, these boy bands kind of fall into the late 80s to like early 2000s in that slot, in that window. And we're going to have a further discussion about this music playlist because I had a conversation with a team that really got me thinking, and ironically, it was the team that had requested this round. So I'm a little surprised at the conversation that we had, but that is coming up in a bit. We're going to talk about it in the second half of the show. As far as other stuff that's been going on, remember last week I had mentioned that I have a hunch that we have a lucky table over at Nathan Bill's, and I think I called it out actually during last Wednesday's game. I think I had mentioned as we were setting up that there is a lucky table, and I think it kind of went over everybody's head for the most part. Now, this table is located directly in front of the ATM machine at Nathan Bill's. It's a big table. It's basically 2 4 tops put together, so it seats 8. It's huge. You can go over there and bring your friends, bring the whole squad. And my theory is that I saw 2 brand new teams of 6 or 7 players for each team on 2 separate occasions walk in for the very first time, sit down to play speed quizzing, and win. And they had never played before. They had both gotten, and when I say lucky, this is what I'm talking about. They both had a fast track in either question 15 or question 20 of the final round. Like, you're talking about, it's like a Hail Mary freaking shot right there. And they did it, and they won the game based on it. Nobody was able to take it from them with that final bonus question of 30 points. Nobody was able to take it. So in both situations, it happened. And I just found it kind of peculiar that 2 teams who had never played before walked away with a win, but the one thing that they had in common happened to be that table. So I mentioned it, thinking it was basically, just like somebody would just kind of giggle at it or something like that. Well, one of our regular teams over there who has joined us over the last, I think it's been like 2 years now. They've been playing with me. Maybe even, I think 2 years. It's Tom Hanks Pissin. Tom Hanks Pissin is a fantastic group. These are they're great folks, and they show up every week and they play their asses off. They've had their wins and they've had to battle, to get there. They were not sitting at the lucky table, though they do frequent the lucky table quite a bit. was it going into round 3? They moved their table to the lucky table. I'm wondering if I had a little influence in that. I'm not 100% sure. But they moved over there. It didn't pan out. I'm wondering if the situation has to be that you have to be a new team or that you have to be there from the beginning of the game. I'm curious. I'm going to keep an eye on this, guys. I'm monitoring this because I know this is something people want to know about. There's going to be a whole 2020 special about it and all that stuff. Hugh Downs is dead, but he'll rise from the grave and then, give you an ABC News report all about it. It's going to be fantastic. So yeah, lucky table. The jury's still out. Is it truly lucky? We'll find out. We are back outside at the deck. I have a strong feeling that it's going to take frighteningly, ridiculously cold temperatures or heavy storms to get us back inside. Folks are really, really loving it over there. We had a great time last week. It was my last game of the week last week because I had a wedding on Friday. So, I was usually the last game of the week. I'm really I don't know. I'm a little punchier. I don't know what it is. We just had such a good time. And, over the deck and platform sports bar, it's been fantastic. In fact, coming up in another show, a future podcast, we have Dave Kraft from the team that plays at the deck. Recently, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, they played under the team name Tit Boob. Now, some of you guys are going to know Dave. We're going to talk in depth about some of their playing, but they have a specific move when they're in a good position. They put in a specific order at the bar. We'll talk details. I want to get info about that because I've said this to Dave on multiple occasions. I have said, Dave, you and your friends are some of the classiest motherfuckers that have ever come in here when you win. So we'll talk about that in another podcast when we have him on. I should be recording that actually this weekend or Monday, I believe. So, the deck, I think it's pretty safe to say that we are officially outside. I say that, and watch us go inside this week. It'll probably be sub-zero outside randomly in June. But for the most part, I think that's where we're going to be. And it's going to be a good time out there. And I love it. It's absolutely awesome. And we do I'm working on a few things right now to get the Wi-Fi network that we use to play the game, get the quiz network more stable. And I'm working on things behind the scenes for you guys. It's odd because I'm still currently using the old, the baseline, router that I had been using previously. And, this last week we had zero issues at all. It was a packed house, zero issues whatsoever. So, sometimes it's just a little bit funky and, we got to just kind of play it by ear. It is definitely good to be out there. One thing about last week's game over at the deck was that it was June 1st. It was the first day of a new month. And what does that mean? Well, over in Northampton, one of our teams that plays regularly, Sheboygan, is it's basically a group that all work for one local cannabis company called Pioneer Valley Cannabis Company, and they make a wide variety of products, and you can find them in your local dispensaries and all over the state, really. And their products are great. They really are, and they're just great folks. I love Sheboygan. They're just awesome. They're super supportive of me and what they've started doing, and they've been doing it now for going on a year. The first Thursday of every month, they provide me a prize for the first place team, which is generally like a little promotional package of their products. So, and obviously, of course, if the first place team is just not into the cannabis products, then what I'll do is I'll offer up to the second place team and then the third place team if I have to. Oddly enough, though,
I have never had to do that.
I'm just saying, for what it is, I've never had to do that. First place team is like, no, we got a place this can go. This will be fine. They're very, very, very excited about it. This was one of those nights, and I got to tell you, the packaging that they're putting together, it used to just be like a little paper bag with like maybe they put one of their stickers on there. Now they've got like a nice. They've got custom boxes with like, I think their stamp with their signature blue colors on the side. And I think even the tape has their logo on. Like, they're stepping up in the world. They're doing okay. And it was awesome. So, in July, we'll have another prize from them if you're interested and you're just like, well, I'd like to double down and make this like a little more extra worth it to take the dub up in Northampton. This is a good way to go do it. So, Pioneer Valley Cannabis Company, we love you. We appreciate you. Last thing we're going to do as far as wrapping up like what's going on this week and everything is that this Thursday, the day that this podcast drops, if you're listening to this right now, you need to know that there are 2 games tonight. There are 2 games on Thursday. I have a monthly game that's been happening in Holyoke. I live in Holyoke. I love Holyoke. Holyoke's a wonderful city. I have 2 games. The first one starts at Gateway City Arts in the Divine Theater room. Now, if you haven't been to the Divine Theater, you're missing out because this is a wonderful room. It's a great spot. We have an amazing restaurant, Judd's, which is right across the way. You can order great eats off of that menu. There's a bar right in the Divine Theater, so you got all of your liquid refreshment right there at the ready. And it's just a comfortable, interesting, fun art space. I highly recommend checking it out when there's shows there, when there's stuff going on. But on once a month, we do a Thursday series over there from 6 p.m. to 8 o'clock. So that's a 6 p.m. sign in. We start the first round for 6:30. We're done at 8 o'clock. Now that's once a month and it's going to go through the summer. And, we'd love to see more of you out there. Come on out and play. I'm bringing this week's up specifically because this week we have, and I believe moving forward for the Thursday events, Canna Provisions is now sponsoring their Thursday lineup of entertainment. So that means on one Thursday it is myself, and then immediately following is they do an open mic in there. So if you're a local musician and you like trivia, come on out and play, and then bring your guitar and play some songs for the folks. Apparently that open mic has just been banging. It's been getting really, really good. So they are thankfully Canna Provisions is sponsoring this event, and word on the street is that we've got some Canna Provisions gift cards that will be going to the winners. I'm no comment on the amounts or anything like that. I have no idea how this is going to pan out, but hey, if Canna Provisions can help you save a little bit of money over at their spot, and you want to sample their menu of items that they've got, this is a great working opportunity right there. So Canna Provisions is sponsoring Thursdays now at Gateway City Arts, and that means my game in the Divine Theater. So I highly recommend you guys come out this Thursday evening. If you're listening to this on the day that it drops, cancel your plans and come out to Gateway City Arts at 6 p.m. on Thursday night. Now, what this means for our Northampton game is this, and this is why this is so interesting. So we are, like I said, I'm not canceling the Northampton game on these dates. Thankfully, the staff over at Platform and the Deck is amazing. Let's just start with that. Staff, management, they're amazing. And I appreciate them. I truly, truly do. What they are doing is, and they've been so good to work with me in the past with other stuff, they actually signed on for this where they said, we'll push back on those Thursdays where you're booked at Gateway. We'll push back and do a 9 to 11 game. And that's exactly what we've got lined up for you guys, a 9 to 11 game. I will pop in for 9 o'clock. I had been doing, the first couple were like dirty speed quizzing. And I know that this week they have been promoting it as dirty speed quizzing as well. I found that I don't want to burn that out. Doing it once a month is fine, but I just don't want to burn it out. I think we'll do another one maybe in July or August. But I just, that's my big thing. I just don't want to burn out that theme. So the last month we did a general knowledge game. Tonight, or this week, we will be doing a general knowledge game as well. And, we'll be using the music round for this week. So we're going to utilize that. In fact, I made some changes to the music round, which you'll talk about. So we're actually going to be able to do the same game, both first. We'll be able to do the same exact music round because I've got an abundance of songs that I was able to split up, and I'll explain why in the second segment of this show. That's pretty much what you need to know. This tonight, if you're listening to this show, the day that it drops on Thursday, that means that tonight's show, we have a 6 p.m. and a 9 p.m. show, and it's always a blast. I highly, highly recommend it. I designed them in a way so that regardless of if I do a dirty theme on the late show or not, they're different games. So you can 100% play both. And I recommend that you should come out and play both. Go for it. Have fun. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about here? Next week. Oh, I do need to talk about. What do I have coming up for next week? So I had been mentioning in the podcast that I've got a bunch of interesting theme rounds for the music round. One of my absolute favorites, and it's kind of a wild card, and this is why I like it so much, is I'm doing a round of wedding songs from the last wedding that I worked. Now, I was recently the DJ and MC for one of our trivia players who played with Betty B. When they played together, I think they played as the Weirdos. Or watch out for those weirdos, or Beauty and the Bee. So Stephanie had graciously chosen me to be her DJ under the guidance of Betty B for her wedding. So first off, Stephanie and Silk, congratulations. It was a fantastic wedding, and we had a great time. But the reason why I bring up this wedding is I have often, and a handful of times out of the year, I will do a playlist in a music round that is songs that either were unique or that were just bangers. Whatever the situation is, these are just songs that stuck out to me from the last wedding that I did. And this is great because I'm usually choosing the songs that either the couple selected that were very, very unique and stuck out, or the songs that were just got a crazy reaction. So I like to go back through that history of that playlist and look at, because I document every single song that gets played, so I can go back and look at it in the order of everything that happened and figure out what it was. And then I look back at the song requests that were made in the planning meetings with the couple and things like that. And I gotta tell you,
they did not disappoint
in terms of selecting fun and very unique songs. There are some theme songs that are going to come up from television shows. There are some just interesting genres, and some of these songs just got a great reaction. So we'll be doing that next week, and that'll be all 5 games, because next week we are doing a full week. Rumble Seat, Craft 32, Nathan Bills, The Deck, and Casa de Lisa. So we've got that coming up. And again, I'm planning on, future music rounds that have been coming in by request. But we're going to talk about this week's, because I had a situation come up this week that I've never, ever had occur previously. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, though, guys. We will be back with more 10-second podcast, more speed quizzing discussion, and all kinds of good stuff coming back right after this. Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here from Jigs and Bigs. If there's one thing I can't stand spending money on, it's on something that's not versatile, something that I can't get a lot of use out of. I want to talk to you about Frost Buddy. What Frost Buddy is it's one of those can coolers. I've seen these before. In fact, I have some that are limited to only fitting one specific size of can, like a standard 12-ounce can. I stumbled onto Frost Buddy, and I was blown away with it. So versatile. Fits standard cans, tall cans, slim cans, and even 12-ounce bottles. And the magic is the insert fits all of these items in various stages within the insert. And when you take that out, you can fit a full 16-ounce tall boy can. In fact, it even doubles down on being versatile with the coffee lid. And on my recent trip to Chickamauga, I had a field day with this thing. I was throwing beer cans in it. I'd have coffee in the morning. On the drive, I was throwing in all different sizes of cans for different canned coffee products to keep me awake on the long drive back. The thing was amazing. So I recommend you check out Frost Buddy. If you're in the market for either a travel cup for your coffee or a can cooler at all, either one of those, check it out. For the money, you cannot go wrong. What I've done is this. In the show notes for this podcast you're listening to right now, if you look there, you'll find a link to Frost Buddy where you can get yours. And not only can you go and get your Frost Buddy there, but you can help out the show as well. Go and visit that link in the show notes to this podcast. Check out a Frost Buddy. Tons of colors, tons of patterns, all kinds of great stuff. And it's a great spot to put your Jigs and Big sticker too. Take it from me, Bobby Roast Beef. You're going to get the most versatility out of this one product, probably out of anything you're ever going to buy, especially for anything that you're drinking. Frost Buddy. It works for me. I'm a happy guy. Hey guys, I often get a lot of really good feedback about my beard. Lots of times people actually will ask about what I use for beard care products too. For a long time, it was nothing other than a brush. But things have changed and my beard is styled better and much healthier than it's ever been before. The main reason for this is that I started using beard care products from livebearded.com. Right now, I'm using Live Bearded's beard wash, the conditioner, oil, and the beard butter. I'm also using their bar soap too. In all in matching scents, I should add. The products are 100% natural and they don't leave your beard feeling weighted down or crusty. I've discovered livebearded.com on Instagram and ordered their sample pack of 6 different scents to figure out which one I like the best. I really enjoy the Gunslinger and American scents most. I've been using the sample kit and I really enjoy it, and I've upped it and gotten a full lineup of all their products in the scents that I like. I realized the level of quality that wasn't there in other products that I've tried before. It really did make a huge difference. So I've got a special offer for you. Visit livebearded.com and use my code ROASTBEEF, all one word with no spaces, and you'll receive a 10% discount on your order at checkout. Try the sampler kit for just $10 or go all out and get the full lineup of great products. There's kits available too, and they're great for gifts. And you can even sign up for a subscription. Save a little bit of money, and you'll also find that you won't run out of your favorite beard care products. Check out livebearded.com right now and use the promo code ROASTBEEF to save some cash and look like the epic beardsman you are. All right, guys. So this week, it's time for our discussion about our bonus word. Now, like I said earlier, very few people, in fact, nobody so far has given me the bonus word or phrase for that week, and that is okay. I think what we're going to do is this. I'm going to give you guys a real simple one. I am looking right now on my desk where I podcast, and you guys know I've been hosting podcasts for a long time. And my biggest and most successful podcast to date is my fishing podcast, which is called Jigs and Bigs. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to make the let's go ahead and say this. I have a bunch of soft plastic baits that are just on my desk that I use for, when we live stream as a visual cue or something that we're talking about. And we have, it's the time of year is here where there's one of my favorite baits to throw, and that is a fluke. So the bonus word for this week, and for this week, when I say this week, which you guys need to know, is I'm specifically talking about the 12th through the 16th. What we have there, the week of Flag Day. Look at that. The bonus word is fluke. So come on up and say fluke. Tell me fluke. Even if it's your birthday, you get an additional 25 points on top of a birthday bonus. So don't forget that these do stack if you want to go ahead and get some extra points. You have to give me the code word before we start the game. It doesn't apply otherwise. I need the code word before we start the game. Same thing with the birthday bonus. Before the round 1 begins. That's what we need. So the code word this week is fluke. All right. Now, with all that said, this is the conversation I wanted to have, guys, regarding our music round for this week. So a few weeks ago, I had a team, Shark Coochies, over at Rumble Seat, and they play there routinely. A couple of their players have followed me and played. Actually, I think every venue, a couple of their players have popped in at here and there. I think almost every establishment where I've done a game, I think I've seen these folks come into. And Charcucci's has sort of made Rumble Seat like ground zero. Like that is their home base. And they're a big team. They are, 5 or 6? I think there's 6 players, 5 or 6. And they had requested, I guess it was the week I had done Butt Rock. They said, Bobby, can you do a round of boy bands? And I said, absolutely I can. I can 100% do a round for boy bands. I'd love to. I've done it in the past, and the round that I did previously was just a long list of songs from various boy bands where it was named the artist, and I went pretty wide with that as far as the years that I covered. I remember on the old one, I incorporated the Beatles and the Monkees and the Jackson 5 and a number of other more classic boy bands. And then I got all the way up to like BTS was in that lineup. And we, of course, had, New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys and Hanson and all kinds of stuff, which was great. I'm all about that. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I said, I'm going to focus more on like the late 80s to like early 2000s. And we'll go with Name That Tune. It'll be the song title this time, not the name of the band. They're like, okay, cool. So that's right up our alley. It'll be perfect. And I've been on this sort of trend, I guess, where I try to look for interesting articles written about specific genres of music and that create playlists. So what I'm looking for is a headline that says, these are, 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 songs that fall under this one heading. They all do this one thing, whatever it might be. I've done this before, the Country Music Round, where it was the top 10, I think it was Vox Magazine, the top 10 country songs that non-country fans will love. And what's interesting about those is that, they're not always the most popular singles. Like that's the whole thing. And I stumbled on one for this, and I used that playlist. And some of there was one song in there that was just a banger, and everybody knew it right off the top. There was one that was in there. Everything else was kind of a deeper cut, like a B-side or
dare I say it was filler?
Yeah, I hate to say it, man. Every musical act can have filler. It's just part of it. So I had used this playlist and knowing that it was going to be a challenge, because that's the thing about the music round. It's got to do two things. One, it's got to be entertaining, right? And the other thing is that you don't want it to be so easy all the time, because there's two ways of looking at a music round. Number one, you have stuff where everybody's going to know every single song. The songs that white people get turned to, everybody's going to know every single song. They're going to be able to buzz in and give that right away. That music round is more of a race to tap your buzzer, is more than anything. It's not about stumping people. It's not about making them think or anything like that. That is truly a physical game where you're like, I'm buzzing in and I'm giving the answer. Can you beat the other players? That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is to do something that's a little bit more cerebral, a little bit more in your head, where I might take something like a Beatles song and put it in the wrong key, or a Taylor Swift song and do the songs backwards. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna use that one as an example specifically. There are a good like Taylor Swift is kind of polarizing. She obviously has a shit ton of fans. Awesome, good for Taylor Swift. However, there are plenty of other trivia players that don't give a good goddamn about Taylor Swift's music, which is fine. So it's, one of these things where it's a challenge to the Taylor Swift fans because they have to listen to these songs backwards. It's also entertaining for the fans that don't give a shit about Taylor Swift whatsoever to see the Swifties freaking out.
Oh my God, Bobby, this is too hard.
You hear this stuff all the time. So after our game, and I'm going to throw out, I don't want to get too much because we still have a couple of games left this week where I don't want to damage this. So I'm not going to give away any of the song titles. But this playlist is made up of 10 songs, and I think there were 3 correct answers. One of them was an absolute gimme because it was the probably one of the biggest boy band songs of that slot of boy bands that we had used. And it was just a gimme. The other 2 were kind of random. They were kind of random. They weren't the biggest hits, but they were a little bit like closer toward being hits. And it was a challenge. And the team who requested this, Charcuteries, they missed. They didn't buzz in at all, which is not uncommon. So Charcuteries, if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, oh my God, we tanked on such and such. No. Remember, I think they were there for that Taylor Swift backwards round. The 2 teams that had requested that in Northampton, neither one of those teams buzzed in for a single one. Neither one of them. And it's a challenge, but again, it's also a race to the buzzer. That's the real challenge, I guess, in the whole thing is somebody else going to take a guess? Is somebody else going to get this before I do? So you still have that challenge, and especially when it's like a large number of teams, like we've been doing in Northampton for years. it's even more difficult because you've got that many more devices out there that could get tapped to get buzzed in with. So, I listened to them. I listened to their gripes. They gave me was it a 2-star? I think they said 2 out of 5 stars. And they're like, we're definitely going to come back. But, it's like, this was ridiculous. And then they kind of got a little crazy on me and said that I could have included, other bands in there. Like, where was this band or where was this band? And I said to them, I was like, with the examples you guys are giving me, I could put Metallica or Slayer as a boy band. Like, does the fact that the group of musicians in a band all have penises mean that it's a boy band? Because I'll tell you what my definition of a boy band is. Yes, the Beatles are a boy band. Yes, the Monkees were a boy band. The Jackson 5, absolutely a boy band. But what a boy band has to have is 3 elements. Number 1, they have to be in a band. So they said, if you Google what's a boy band, you're going to find, and I didn't waste my time with that because I think there are 2 elements that are way overlooked when it comes in terms of boy bands. I think in order to be a boy band, number 1, you have to be boys that are in a band, right? Number 2, I think you need to have, there's a look. That's got to be a factor. So, that can vary, and that, I guess, is kind of, up to the consumer to decide, but that's got to come into play. You've got to be it's got to be, the look has to be a thing. And third is there's got to be some sort of choreography going on with it. So there's got to be some other type of element where you're, mixing it up. Look at the Beatles' old catalog. Look at, the Monkees, the Jackson 5. There's choreography in there. And then if you look at something like, New Kids on the Block or the Backstreet Boys or 98 Degrees, there's elements that all are at play. It's bigger than the fact that, these are artists that have a specific set of genitalia. You know what I mean? I think that the boy band, there's more to it than just that. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to list Sepultura and NWA as boy bands. I'm just not going to do that. That's never going to happen. So there was that end of it. And Charcuteries got in my head. I was like, is this too difficult? Is this round simply just too difficult? So Tuesday night, I made a judgment call while I was at Craft 32 because I was kind of hemming and hawing about it. I was debating giving it a test run just to see how it did a second night. Was it going to be any better? And I decided instead what I was going to do was add an equal amount of filler. When I say filler, I'm talking big hits, things that are just going to be a race for the buzzer, stuff like that. So I put the bigger hits from 98 Degrees and In Sync and, actually the In Sync ones that are in there, they're all big hits. What was the other? Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block. And I put those all in there and I rewrote the questions because, again, my previous boy band was, who was the boy band that performed this song? Thinking that it would be kind of a trick thing. You would hear it and buzz in early and go like, oh, yeah, I forgot. And, something like that. Because, again, entertainment value. I think I nailed it. I think that now this round is ideal. In fact, there are now 20 songs in the round, so I used half of them on Tuesday. Then I'll use the other half on Wednesday. I'm also going to alternate them back and forth between Thursday on Gateway City Arts and the deck. Those are going to alternate. And then I'm probably just going to jump around between the two on Friday at Casa de Lisa. So I've got it set up to where I've got some options to kind of play with. I think I kind of nailed it. I feel better about it. But here's what I want to know, and this is kind of the call to action to you guys. I would like you to weigh in and tell me, are you looking for rounds that are just so unbelievably easy? Is that what you consider fun because you got them right? Or is it more fun if they're challenging and it actually does more to provide a dynamic change to the scoreboard? Is it the fact that I do a music round that's challenging, does that take the fun out of it for you? I'm curious. Go ahead. And in fact, you know what I think I'm going to do for this call to action? I'm going to, on my Instagram story, I'm going to put up a poll and just ask this question there. If you guys prefer an easy or if you prefer, and then I'm going to throw a wild card in there and go, it doesn't matter. I like it both. Something like that, where if you want to do both, you can definitely do both. Because I have a feeling if I go between easy and difficult, most people are just going to put easy because they want a shot. But, there are teams, too, that tank on the music round no matter what. Like, it is just, it's an Achilles heel for them. They just don't perform well on those music rounds, so they kind of play it a little bit more safe. And some folks, there are folks that just aren't music people, I mean, there just are. There's just some folks. Or the stuff that they listen to is so fringe that they're not open to what like pop music, or they're not consumers of what is readily available pop music that the masses typically are listening to. It's interesting with music. It is. And also, I should mention this. The music round is only 10 questions. And generally speaking, I try to limit it to just 10 questions. Even if I add additional questions in that pack of questions, that's usually just for me to be able to switch it up if I want to, skip something if I need to. Or in the case of this week, be able to just double up. With these questions, the maximum points you can earn in that round is 100 points. If you buzzed in and gave me the correct answer for every single one, awesome, you got 100 points. But I mean, now 100 points is 100 points, sure, but it's not the second half of round 2. The maximum points you can get there is 200 points if you buzzed in and gave me every single one. That's when I say in the rules that the second half weighs in that much more. It's a big deal. And then when you look at the final round, the keypad round at the end, round 3, that's worth 300 points. So if you tank on these questions, or if you're one of those folks that you're like, oh geez, I'm not real fast with the buzzer, or I'm not real confident in knowing, the artist or the song title or whatever the question is that I'm asking, play that round safe and just agree or disagree. And you could, really, if you got everyone, the best you could do in that music round is 50 points. And it's over in 6 minutes. The music round. It's over so fast. So just throwing that out there, guys. But I am curious. I would love your input. So if you're on Instagram, if you're following me on Instagram, jump on my story and tell me, do you think is writing a more challenging round with, some songs? And let's just go ahead and throw this out there as well. I do try to make sure that every single music round has something like a kind of question in there. Something where people are just like, okay, I don't know what this is. I try to throw something out there that's kind of a wild card. And, it is what it is. But weigh in on my Instagram story and let me know. Are you there for the easy, buzz in and that's instant satisfaction? Or are you there, for something that's a little bit more challenging and a little bit more dynamic? I'm curious. I really am. I'm genuinely curious about that. Let's see. What else do we have up next, guys? That about actually does it for this entire show. That's pretty much all that we've got here. I do want to ask you guys to please do me a favor and give this podcast a review on the podcast platform you listen to. Remember, you can rate us on Spotify with a star rating right there, but you can also do the same on Apple Podcasts, as well as leave an actual review there. And feel free, leave a review. That stuff actually helps me out in a major, major way. I know that this podcast does seem like it's super local and it's focused in Western Mass, but the reality of it is that I do events all over the place, and I'd like to continue doing more events all over the place and, bringing awareness to all the good speed quizzing stuff everywhere. So if you're listening anywhere in the world, I appreciate you. I think that's amazing and fantastic. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this sucker up right here, guys. Appreciate you very, very much, everybody. Thanks again. Remember, my entire schedule is available at BobbyRoastBeef.com. Check that out. Make sure to be following me on Instagram, too, at BobbyRoastBeef. And we will see you next time for more 10-second podcast, more speed quizzing goodness. And keep in mind, if you're listening to this show and you're like, I would love to jump on as a guest co-host, that's what I'm looking for. We're going to have Dave Kraft coming up on a future episode very, very soon. And I'd like to have more of you guys on here to talk about your experiences with speed quizzing, things that, you enjoy. And we're going to have ourselves a great time, guys. We'll see you next time. All right. Have yourself a good one and be well.